Hello, this is Slate with Combo of Rocks, bringing you another video deck tech of a deck that we built and sold by request. If you're not familiar with us, we make and sell custom budget EDH decks. These decks are light on the budget, so they may not be optimal or competitive, but they're definitely fun and centered around a central theme that you can build on. So today we have Krenko Mob Boss. Yes, this is a deck we've done before, and a deck that I have many requests for, so if you didn't get this deck, don't worry, I've got some more on the way. 2 red for 3/3 Legendary Goblin Warrior. Tap to create X 1/1 red goblin creature tokens, where X is the number of goblins you control. So as you guessed it, this is goblins, and this thing can get out of hand pretty quickly, but let's get into the deck. We have the other Krenkos. Krenko Tin Street Kingpin. 2 red for 1/2 Legendary Goblin. Whenever it attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it, then create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to its power. Krenko Baron of Tin Street, 2 red for 3/3 Legendary Goblin with haste. You can tap it and sack an artifact to put a 1/1 counter on each goblin you control. Whenever an artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you can pay red. If you do, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token with haste until end of turn. Seer Slicer Goblin, 1 red for 2/1 Goblin Warrior. On your end step, if you attack this turn, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. Siege Gang Commander, 3 red for a 2/2 Goblin. When enters, create 3 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. You can pay 1 red and sack a goblin to deal 2 damage to any target. Siege Gang Lieutenant, his smaller brother here, 3 red for a 2/2. On combat on your turn, if you control your commander, create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens with haste. You can pay 2 and sack a goblin to deal 1 damage to any target. Legion Warboss, 2 red for 2/2 Goblin Soldier with Mentor. Whenever during combat, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token against haste and attacks if able. Goblin Rabble Master, 2 red for 2/2. Each other goblin you control attacks each combat if able. At the beginning of combat, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token, and when it attacks, it gets +1/+1 for each other attacking goblin. Conspicuous Snoop, red for a 2/2 Goblin Rogue. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You can cast goblins from the top of your library, and as long as the top card of your library is a goblin, it has all activated abilities of that card. Moria Marauder, red for 1/1 Goblin Warrior with Double Strike. Whenever a goblin or orc deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library, and you can play that card this turn. Grenzo, Havoc Razor, 2 red for 2/2 Legendary Goblin Rogue. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, choose 1. Goad target creature that player controls, or exile the top card of that player's library until end of turn. You can cast that card and spend mana of any mana color to cast that spell. Skirk Fire Marshal, 3 red for a 2/2 Goblin with protection from red. You can tap 5 untapped goblins you control to deal 10 damage to each creature and each player. Goblin Goliath, 4 red for a 5/4 Goblin Mutant. When it enters, create a number of 1/1 red goblin creatures equal to the number of opponents you have. 3 in a red tap. If a source you control would deal damage to an opponent, it deals double that damage to that player instead. Runevelt Horde Master, 1 red for 1/1 Goblin Warrior. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. Whenever it or another goblin dies, exile the top card of your library. If the goblin creature card, you can cast it until the end of your next turn. Ib Half Heart Goblin Tactician, 3 red for 3/2 Legendary Goblin Advisor. Whenever a goblin you control becomes blocked, sack it. If you do, it deals 4 damage to each creature blocking it. You can also sack 2 mountains to put 2 1/1 red goblin creatures into play. Goblin Marshal, 4 red for 3/3 Goblin with Echo. So on your next upkeep, you do have to pay its mana cost again or sack it. Whenever it comes into play or is put into the graveyard from play, put 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens into play. And we do have Howl Squad Heavy, 2 red for 2/3 Goblin Mercenary with Starcher Engines. Other goblins you control have haste. On your combat, create a 1/1 red goblin that is attacking. And if you have max speed, add a red for each goblin you control. Draconautics Engineer, 1 red for 2/2 Goblin Artificer. You can exhaust it for red. Other creatures you control gain haste and put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Its other exhaust ability for 3 in red creates a 4/4 red Dinosaur Dragon creature token with flying. You can only exhaust once in a game. 5 Alarm Fire, 1 red. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, put a blaze counter. Remove 5 blaze counters from it. Deals 5 damage to target creature or player. Outpost Siege, 3 in red. As it enters, choose cons or dragons. Cons, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library until end of turn. You can play that card. Or dragons, whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to any target. Count on Luck, 3 red. Enchantments on your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You can play that card this turn. Anzrag's Rampage, 3 and 2 red. Destroy all artifacts you don't control. Then exile the X top card of your library, where X is the number of artifacts that were put into graveyards from the battlefield this turn. You can put a creature card into play, revealed this way against haste. Return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. Chaos Warp, 2 in red. Instant, the owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they can put it onto the battlefield. Just a good catch-all in red. Cursed Mirror, 2 in red. Adds a red. As it enters, you can have it enter the copy of any creature on the battlefield that you have, except it has haste. Staff of Domination, 3 mana artifact, 1 mana untap it, 2 in a tap gain a life, 3 in a tap untap target creature, 4 in a tap target creature, 5 in a tap draw a card. Fun thing with this is if you have at least 3 goblins in play, you can untap your Krenko, and with a Skirk Prospector, you can sack those goblins for red mana to continue to untap Staff of Domination. You can go infinite with this, so this Krenko, at least 3 other Goblins, and Skirk Prospector go infinite. Slate of Ancestry, 4 mana, 4 and a tap, discard your hand, draw a card for each creature you control. Brittle Effigy, 1 mana, 4 tap, exile it, exile target creature, just good removal in red. Lightning Greaves, 2 mana, 0 to equip creature as haste and shroud, great on Krenko. Ravenous Amulets, 2 mana, 1 tap, sack a creature, draw a card, put a soul counter on this artifact. 4 tap, sack this artifact, each opponent loses life equal to the number of soul counters on it. Heirloom Epic, 1 mana, 4 tap, draw a card. For each mana in this ability's activation cost, you can tap an untapped creature rather than pay that mana. So tapping your goblins to draw a card. Heraldic Banner, 3 mana, choose a color. Creatures of the chosen color get +1/+0, and tap to add a mana of the chosen color. Arcane Signet, Soul Ring. Wayfarer's Bauble, or colorless Rampant Growth. Hedron Archive, taps for 2 colorless, or 2 taps, sack, draw 2 cards. Good card draw in red. Navigation Orb, sacks to get 2 lands, basics and or gates. Fire Diamond, taps for red. Mind Stone, taps for colorless, or to tap, sack, draw a card. Commander Sphere, taps for a mana of any color, sack it to draw a card. Star Compass, taps for a mana of a basic land, so a mountain would do here. Collector's Vault, 2 mana, 2 tap, draw a card, discard a card, create a treasure token. Treasure tokens work with the 3rd Krenko that we revealed, that sack artifacts. Also works with this, Gleeful Demolition, 1 red, destroy an artifact. If you control that artifact, creates 3 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens. Goblin Negotiation, X red deals X damage to target creature. Create a number of 1/1 red goblins equal to the excess damage dealt to that creature this way. Goblin Surprise, 2 red, choose 1. Creatures you control get +2/+0, or create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Battlecry Goblin, 1 in a red for 2/2 goblin. 1 in red, goblins you control get +1/+0 and have haste. When it attacks, if you attack with total power 6 or greater, create a 1/1 red goblin creature tapped and attacking. Goblin Matron, 2 in red for a 1/1 goblin. When it enters, search for a goblin, reveal it to put into your hand, then shuffle. Dragon Fodder, 1 in red, creates 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Goblin Motivator, 1 red for a 1/1, tap to give a creature haste until end of turn. Krenko's Command, much like Dragon Fodder. Mog War Marshal, 1 in red for a 1/1, when it enters or dies, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token with Echo for 1 in a red. Goblin Instigator, 1 in red for a 1/1, create a 1/1 red goblin as it enters. Foundry Street Denizen, 1 red for a 1/1. Whenever another red creature enters, it does get +1/+0 until end of turn. Skirk Prospector, here we go, with the Staff of Domination. 1 red for a 1/1, sack a goblin to add a red. Folly Veteran, 3 in a red for a 4/2. When it enters, deals damage equal to the number of goblins you control to target creature. Beetleback Chief, 2 red for a 2/2 Goblin Warrior. As it enters, creates 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Outnumber, 1 red, deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature. Reckless Impulse, 1 in red, exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You can play those cards. Rising of the Day, 2 in a red, creatures you control get haste. Legendaries get an additional +1/+0. Smash, 2 in a red, destroys an artifact, and you draw a card. Fiery Annihilation, 2 in red, deals 5 damage to target creature. Exile an equipment attached to that creature. If that creature would die, exile it instead. Soul Seer, 2 in red, deals 5 damage to a creature or planeswalker. That permanent loses indestructible until end of turn. Abrade, 1 in red, choose 1, destroy target artifact or deal 3 damage to a creature. Pack Attack, 2 in red, attacking creatures get +X/+0, where X is the number of players being attacked. Draw a card. Sundering Eruption, 2 in red, destroys a land. Its controller can search for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. This one can also be a tapped or untapped red land, depending on if you want to pay 3 life. And Impact Tremors, 1 in red, whenever a creature you control enters, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. With the amount of goblins that enter, this can deal a lot of damage. Into some lands, we have Den of the Bugbear. If you control 2 or more other lands, it enters tapped. Tap to add a red, or 3 in a red, it becomes a 3/2 red goblin. Whenever it attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin that's tapped and attacking. Spine Rock Knoll hides away a card. Then if you dealt 7 or more damage to an opponent, you can pay a red and tap to play that exiled card. Barbarian Ring, taps for red, deals 1 damage to you. If you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you can tap, sack it to deal 2 damage to any target. Hidden Volcano can be sacked to discover 4. The Autonomous Furnace can be sacked to draw a card. Smoldering Crater can cycle if you need it to. Forgotten Cave can also cycle, but only for a red. Desert of the Fervent can also cycle. Ominous Cemetery to be exiled to shuffle a creature into its owner's library. Haunted Fengraf can be sacked to return a creature card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Field of Ruin can be sacked to destroy non-basic lands, then each player searches for a basic land. Volatile Fault, very similar, but instead of each player searching, they search for a basic and you create a treasure token. Myriad Landscape can be sacked to search for 2 basics, and then we have some basic mountains here. That's the deck. I hope you enjoyed it, but we'll see you next time.